So continuing our coverage, Q13's Brandi Kruse joining us live now. So Brandi, the president is really set on this August 31st deadline, despite pushback, both from Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, there are some in Congress who really want the president not to put a timeline on it, to say, you know, whatever the Taliban says, we need to get everyone out. And if that means maintaining control over the airport in Kabul past August 31st, there are some in Congress who want the president to take that risk. You know, we chatted yesterday live on air with Congresswoman Kim Schreier, a Democrat from our state, Congresswoman Kathy McMorris-Rodgers, a Republican, two women who hardly agree on a thing. And they both agree that the president should push that timeline back. However, I also spoke with Congressman Adam Smith of our state, a Democrat and chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. He thinks it would be foolish to go past August 31st.
I think people who are saying extend the deadline don't understand what's going on. I think they look at it and say, well, gosh, you know, if there's more people there, we should take extra time and get them out. What they don't understand is, number one, the danger that is there, as we've just seen. You know, the danger of having that many people massed, the threat from ISIS. But number two, the Taliban are you know, the ones running things. And they've said past August 31st, they won't support this. So if the Taliban starts shooting at us at the airport, then you don't have a safe situation. And it is, I would hasten to say, policy malpractice to roll the dice and say, well, maybe they won't start shooting at us past August 31st.
Policy malpractice, he says. Now, you know, the point he's making is it dangerous now? Yes, of course it's dangerous. We had the deadliest day for a U.S. military in a decade. But he's saying right now you have the threat from ISIS-K. You push that past August 31st, you have ISIS-K and whatever the Taliban is going to do, because we stayed at Kabul longer than we told them that we were going to. Meanwhile, an interesting soundbite I wanted to pull out from the briefing with the Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby was kind of warning the press and Americans that they're going to start to hear less information from the Pentagon as this operation winds down.
We will be able to fly out evacuees right up until the last moment. That's going to be the goal. And if I may, you didn't ask this, but I want to take the opportunity to convey to all of you that, as we did before, when we began a retrograde, a withdrawal back in April, we were very judicious about the detail that we were putting out. And I just want to level set with all of you that you're going to see us become more judicious now going forward as we get closer to the end of the month about what information we're giving you in terms of how many troops on the ground. I would not expect us to be giving that number out going forward, and what the capabilities are and where they are and what they're doing. We're going to be very, very mindful of the operational security element of this, and I think yesterday is a stark, grim reminder of why that's important going forward.
It was a little long, but I think it's important because, you know, we are in this situation where we desperately want information. Mm-hmm. How many Americans are left? How many Afghans are left? How many are going to be able to get out? When is the military presence in the footprint going to move? And he's saying, we might not be telling you that. And so I think this is the Pentagon getting in front of that, saying, to keep people safe, to avoid another
you can't let that
incident like ISIS-K, we don't. It's the same. I hate to make this comparison because it's not, you know, similar to the gravity of the situation out there. But for instance, on May days here, when police refuse to tell us how many officers they have out because it's an operational security thing. Yeah. And so that's similar to what we're going to see from the Pentagon. Is they're going to stop giving out information about how many troops are there, really, so our enemies can't use that information against us.
That makes sense, absolutely. And I mean, besides, I mean, we talked about 5,400 people still at the airport right now, but there are tons of people, it sounds like, who are outside of the airport, who are outside perhaps of that city in that country. And that's what is scary, is what happens next after this.
Yeah, to some extent, you're at the mercy of the Taliban. The U.S. is no longer going to have control over that airfield after August 31st. However, remember in our previous conversation with Congressman Adam Smith last week, he did not rule out the possibility of sending special forces in to extricate people from the country if the Taliban is not willing to help facilitate those exits. We've seen other countries do that, to go to their embassies and extricate people in the dark of night. Yeah. Not the safest operations. There's risk involved there. But the president and the military has said, just because we're not running evacuations out of Kabul does not mean we're not going to continue to try to get people out.
I heard an interview with Paul Wolfowitz, a former Bush administration staffer, talking about running an underground railroad style operation to basically, you know, facilitate exactly what you're talking about, rescues. And obviously that is something the Pentagon wouldn't want to talk about publicly.
No, not until after the fact,
Exactly.
certainly.